Here says Terry, it's TK's fault. Again, it's not just his fault. It's a combination of things. And the reason I say that is this. And this is where I think Pep should get more criticism. And for some reason, the mainstream media doesn't want to do it. And I think this is horrendous. He has to find a solution to maintain competitiveness. He has to. A manager that is in the conversation to be the Premier League GOAT and the GOAT of all time in terms of being a manager or a head coach, someone who's in that conversation when their team is struggling, when their team is going through adversity, if they truly are that GOAT, they have to find a solution to, at the very least, keep their team competitive, get them back on track, and get them back into this title race. And I want to give you two examples. Twice when Man United didn't win the Premier League in the 90s, when we had our run of winning 6 league titles in 7 years. We did the same thing. We didn't do a four-peat, but we won 6 league titles in 7 years. The 2 times we didn't win it, when we went into the 8th year, was Blackburn beat us to it in 95 and Arsenal beat us to the league in 1998. And there was 2 significant damages to our squad those seasons. And that was Eric Cantona getting banned for kicking racism out of football and the cruciate knee ligament injury for Roy Keane. I think that was in the 97-98 season. In both those campaigns, Blackburn, who were a very good team back then, very good squad, and Arsenal, the double winning Arsenal team, many Gooners believe their greatest ever team in 1998. We missed out by 1 point to both teams in terms of missing out on winning that league title. When in both those campaigns, and of course there was other injuries, of course there were, and suspensions, but in both those seasons, we lost our captain and our best player at that particular moment in time. So I'm not going to sit here and say that injuries don't play a part in a team going backwards slightly, because I'd be a hypocrite because I've done that for other teams. And I think that it does have an impact on you. But what I'm looking at Pep Guardiola to do here is stand up, tweak your system, find a solution. I have seen Sir Alex Ferguson, for a case in point, go away from home to Arsenal, a very good Arsenal team, play 8 defenders because of injuries, and walk away as the winner. I have seen my team win titles with massive injury problems. I've seen my team narrowly miss out on winning the league title when we've had almost our main Rio and Vidic missing for nearly a whole season, lost out by 1 point to Chelsea and winning the league. And this is where I'm looking at Pep, and I am being pernickety. I am splitting hairs because we're talking about somebody who is called the GOAT. It was only on the overlap yesterday morning and first, most people voted Fergie on the show, I think, but there was a City fan advocating all the reasons as to why Pep should be seen as better. And Pep's got some amazing records. And what I'm not going to do is play down anything brilliant that he's done, because I think that's a weak way to debate. I feel as soon as you attack a great achievement to prop up your individual, I feel you've already lost the argument. I'll stop listening to somebody who does that. And I'm not going to take anything away from Pep. But what I am focusing on is how he operates in adversity, how competitive his team can be, his mannerisms and behavior, how quickly he turns it round, who does he blame? All of these things, I think, are an integral part of who a manager is. And I know there's a lot of people that are looking at, he said the thing about harming himself last night, and I said it on my video earlier on today. I hope that he's okay. I hope that Man City are actually talking to him and there's some welfare there for him. But genuinely, I look at it and think, when he was getting beat by Spurs, he's on screen doing this weird thing with his private parts. And then last night, you see the footage. He's scratching chunks of skin out of his head in frustration. That's a concern and it's a worry. Like, that just physically shows the level of stress he's going through. And is that stress because his team's losing confidence, his team's losing its quality, and he has no idea how to fix it because he's very one-track minded, which has made him brilliant, which has achieved all those great things. So I am looking at Pep because I think if you are someone that is deemed to be the greatest of your generation, maybe better than Sir Alex, maybe the greatest manager of all time, I think it's an abomination that you can't solve this problem when you still have a squad full of top-class players and you've still got one of the best squads in the world to go winless in 6, to capitulate last night like you did, to concede 4 at home to Tottenham, who were a yo-yo team. For me, it's hugely damning in the debate around greatness. Doesn't take away any achievement. I don't think he's a fraud. I don't think he's a checkbook manager. I don't think he's a bum. None of those things. But for me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, where is the pressure from the mainstream media that Jose would have got? You absolutely know Wenger would have got it. 110%. Fergie would have been questioned in this way. But for some reason with Pep, I'm hearing Klopp got it. But what I'm hearing from the media is he's got a lot of injuries, though, hasn't he? The same media outlets last year didn't give that excuse to Poch, didn't give that excuse to Ten Hag, didn't give that excuse to multiple other managers in the past. But Pep, I know he's won a lot. I know he's got credit in the bank. Nobody is asking you to take away what he's achieved. But we want genuine, fair analysis. And I'm watching what Pep and City are doing right now. And it's gone from being a crisis to being a shambles. It's actually embarrassing watching the way it's all going on and playing out. I feel sorry for their fans. He has to find a solution, and he has to find one quick, because this is horrendous. It really is.
Before Osam goes in, the problem is a lot of citizens.
22 minutes into the stream. Let me talk, mute your mic.
You haven't talked?
6-time Champions League winner here. Let me talk. Listen. Big up
6 times Champions League.
Listen, look, Terry is nice. I'm not a nice person. So when it comes to Manchester City, everyone knows this. There's a reason why my biggest enemy, my biggest nemesis, the reason why 30 years I did not win a league title, I still put him above Pep Guardiola. Ferguson. I'm not going to call him sir, because the Queen Knighthood doesn't work to me. I'm Jordanian. So the reason why Ferguson is above Pep for me is very simple. Ferguson won a Champions League playing the likes of John O'Shea, Wes Brown, Darren Fletcher, a bunch of mediocre players, surrounded by, of course, world-class elite talent. But the same can be applied to Pep Guardiola, because Pep Guardiola has world-class elite talent in Kevin De Bruyne, in the likes of Haaland, in the likes of Bernardo Silva, who are experienced professionals. You've got the likes of Akanji, who we all said is probably City's best defender. Ederson was in goal yesterday. I'm not affording Pep Guardiola any excuses. And as a matter of fact, I don't think him signing someone in January and fixing this is a sign that he's this elite, unbelievable coach, because he should be able to find the solution from within. So are we supposed to sit here then from 27th November until January 1st, and it's okay for City to lose any game of football because Rodri's out? Since when? Like, the reason why I said Nobbins was actually right when he said it's even worse than 2020, 2021 is we literally had no center backs available and fit. Matip was out, Gomez was out, and Van Dijk. All three were out till the end of the season. And this is the issue that we had at the time. And now they don't have that issue. They have one DM out, but they're still playing players like Matheus Nunes, who's not a scrub. I wanted them at my own club. Gundogan, they all celebrated when they brought him back. Bernardo Silva is an unbelievable player. So what we're not going to do is act like he's playing a bunch of bums. Like the way that some of these, like including Hamza and others, are acting, like you would think that Man City are have the squad of Brentford or something. Man City still have a lot of these players won the treble like literally 2 seasons ago. A lot of these players came back and won a league title last season ahead of Arsenal, even though Arsenal won 16 out of the last 18 games. So this is why Pep has to find the solution from within, whether it be playing a 3 at the back, whether it be changing the system, changing the style. But listen, I have always had this dislike towards Pep. And this was before even the Klopp thing. This has nothing to do with the whole Klopp and Pep, quote-unquote, era. Look, Pep has never had a struggle story in football. Every manager that ever existed in football that is highly rated has had some form of struggle story, or has had some form of like doing something against the odds. Pep Guardiola has not done a single thing against the odds ever since he's become a manager to begin with. Alex Ferguson won a European trophy with Aberdeen against Real Madrid. Jurgen Klopp won back-to-back Bundesligas with Borussia Dortmund and made Liverpool Premier League champions after 30 years. Mourinho won a Champions League with Porto, won Chelsea the league title first time 55 years, won Inter a treble. Antonio Conte broke the Juve duct with Inter, who had 10 years without a league title. There's always, every other manager has some point in time at which they come through the struggle and it actually elevates their levels higher. And the problem is, Pep doesn't have that for me. And this is why, if you were to tell me right now, prime Pep or prime Mourinho, I choose prime Mourinho ahead of prime Pep. And if you were to tell me Ferguson or Pep, and no one hates Man United more than me in this whole planet, no one hates Alex Ferguson more than me in this whole planet, I'm still putting Ferguson ahead of Pep, because at least I've seen him accomplish stuff, even though when they didn't have an unbelievable elite team. And by the way, his last league title, Ferguson's last title alone, is proof of that. Some people say Van Persie won you the title. Yeah, but Van Persie alone, not one player alone can win a title. A lot of these players...
Do you know what's crazy about that? Sorry to step in. Is the season before we missed out on the title on goal difference. Van Persie came in and did help make us a better team. But the idea that we were a scrub and a bum team the season before, nowhere near it, and one player... I want to bring up a comment about this as well.
The year before that was the Aguero season.
Yes, the season before. CFC Liars here says United finished 10 points behind Arsenal after winning the three-peat, but Terry won't ever mention that. So it's a really good challenge, but there's some context you need. First bit of context is Man United had a really poor period in the middle of the season where I actually think we lost 3 or 4 league games. We didn't lose 4 league games on the bounce. I think we lost 3 league games on the bounce. There was a lot of, but I think we might have gone for a 7 or 8 game league period where we only won 1 or 2 games. But this is where I'm standing on what I've said about finding a solution and becoming competitive. After that period, we went on a very good run. We became competitive again. That is what I'm demanding Pep does, because Fergie did it. The second bit of context you're leaving out is that just before that bad run started, Sir Alex Ferguson had announced his retirement at the end of that season. And it created a lot of instability with who the new coach was going to be. There was a lot, and the players and the manager have spoken at large about this for the past 23 years since he did it. It really it made the season dysfunctional. He then announced he was going to stay, and he made a U-turn and changed his mind, and the form turned around. So firstly, I'm asking for Pep to do what Fergie did that season and find that competitive streak again, find the solution, which Fergie did. Secondly, what I'm asking for is for us to apply relatively equal context. If Pep had said 2 months ago, this is my last season, and this drop-off had happened, we would all understand it. But he's just signed a new deal. So you can't compare the two situations in their entirety because they are fundamentally different. Pep signed a new deal. The club says it's in a great space. Man United was going through a little bit of turmoil because its greatest ever manager was about to leave. But I wanted to address that comment because it's a fair one and it's a fair challenge, but you have to remember the context. So all I'm asking Pep to do this season isn't win the league. It's to do exactly what Fergie did that season. And that's when you've gone through adversity and you've seen problems, turn it round and become competitive.
But why shouldn't he be expected to win the league, though? Can I ask you the question? Because you mentioned Ferguson. Ferguson came up against Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, greats, and couldn't win the league title. That's fine. No problem. I'm not even going to use that stick to beat Ferguson with. Pep Guardiola is coming up currently against Mikel Arteta, who 3/4 of this chat doesn't rate to begin with. Many Arsenal fans are Arteta out. Many Arsenal fans have turned on their manager, with the likes of Havertz and Martinelli and other players that no one really rates. Arne Slot has come into this Liverpool side. Yes, we've had 4 world-class players who have stayed, but we have signed Federico Chiesa, signed no one, to be honest with you, and we're currently top of the league. So the expectation on Pep, I disagree with you. I'm taking it a step further. I'm saying Pep should be asked to win the league, even with Rodri out.
I understand that, and I understand it, but equally, I wouldn't overly criticize a manager for not winning or doing a 5-peat, right? I'm not going to do that. What I'm looking at isn't about winning leagues, and it's about maintaining a level of competitiveness. And David here says, where's Pep's context? But okay, your job is to apply the context. What am I missing here and I'm open to this. This is why it's a conversation. What am I missing from the context of Pep where we're being unfair in asking him to find a solution and to become competitive, David? You can't just say, where's his context? You have to be the one to apply it, because I think the context is there. We've mentioned that he's got injury problems, and we understand why there's a bit of a drop-off. We understand that maybe they haven't bought and purchased as well, and the squad's maybe not as strong as people thought. But are those reasons to not be competitive? If he doesn't become competitive again for the rest of the season, is that a good enough excuse? That is what we are asking. Let's go to some of these comments that have come through here. First one says, big up, guys. The music killed me. It's a Mariah Carey song, but I slowed it right down. You wouldn't have known that was Mariah Carey, would you? But it is.